Hey, you guys, Alicia Lyons in the house and Marcus Vetstein. And Alicia, I want to start first with show me the mug that you're using and tell us the history.
That's a whopper.
And oh, it's magical. And I have that exact one at home. Marcus, Alicia, was that last year when one of the first books came out and we were doing some raffles and stuff? And
Yeah.
Alicia's like, I'm going to give away one of my unicorn mugs. Of course, it's not the exact one, but I have one. Hey, welcome, girl. So we're going to talk to you about your story that you're publishing in the third volume of the All Things Wellness book series, Getting Prepared for Success, Wellness G.P.S. And you've been with us
all three books.
The whole ride.
Yeah. I have a little bit of OCD, so I was like, well, I can't not be in all three books.
I know. No, I know, right? I was actually thinking about you, and many of the people that have been with us since the beginning is truly now we all have enough examples of the collaborations and the connections that this causes without even thinking about it, right? It's like, when I first met you, you were writing a story and had a mom cast going on here, and now you're working with the same publisher and several books coming out. And I'm just so proud of you and your radio show, your podcast. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Come on, man.
The
so
growth in the last three books, the time span of the last three books is just like unbelievable. I was talking to somebody that I met at my very first coaching program 6 years ago, and I haven't seen him since. I've talked to him here and there, but I haven't like seen his face on a Zoom in 6 years. We haven't had a conversation voice to voice, and he goes, you are not the same person that I met 6 years ago. And I was like, I'm really not. And if you had told me 6 years ago that I would be here now, I'd be like, you're smoking something. I don't know.
Hey, and you know what? Today I was in a big meeting with a bunch of media people, and one of the things that they keep bringing to our attention is that something we talked about a long time ago, Alicia, you'll get this, is people saying, I'm not a good writer and I don't know English very well. And oh my gosh. And, as you know, now you've been on this journey, we hold these stories very gingerly and with respect, and we help you. But you, as far as a writer, you've been blogging with me for a while through All Things Wellness, and your writing has just, everybody improves, but you really have. I just want to give you kudos.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so this one is Wellness GPS, and so it's just like we talk about when we hop in our car and we're going to go somewhere, and as a coach, you're a seasoned coach, many times the destination does not look like we first thought when we got into that thing, the detours and the all of that stuff. And so with this story, and keeping that in mind, tell us what Wellness GPS means to you, and then I'd like you to read part of your story and tease us.
Yeah. I mean, what's present to me with what you just said is I was driving from LA home today, which is normally I found out it's 3 hours without traffic. I've never experienced 3 hours without traffic, but I found out that it exists.
Probably jumped the timeline.
The sea parted.
Yeah. Right.
And yesterday it took 5 hours, and it's like, and it was all of what you just said. It's like I plugged it in, and it said I would get home at 4, and I ended up getting home at 5. And like, I went over here and I went around here, and I was like, I don't even know where I'm at. Like, if GPS cut out right now, I wouldn't even know how to get where I was going.
So freaking true. Those of us with, what were those big books, those big maps, the Rand McNally things?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fold and fold and fold.
I never would have gone to a big city ever if GPS didn't exist, because I couldn't read a map.
I know. Yeah. Right. But as a coach, I mean, we will always have clients like that. And even ourselves, we even if we set off for what we think is a reasonable goal, I'm going to walk 3 times a week or whatever, and then you sprain your ankle, like what's plan B and who's the backup of anything, right? But that's so tell us about, if you chose You do a really good job. Anybody, I want you guys to think about this if you're listening. Alicia does a really good job of what I call weaving her marketing from a standpoint of how she does connections. So her business is about, empowering moms and the confidence of being a mom. And then she's got her podcast and her blogs and her first story and her second, and all of them. She gets to talk about this over here, but yeah, I did this back there. You do a really good job of that, repurposing without repurposing, maybe is what I'm trying to say. So first book, second book, third book. Tell us where we are with you right now.
What? I don't
What the
understand
hell did I write
question.
about in the first book?
Oh, well, the first book, it was, I was like, what are you asking? The first book I was talking about that I am my father's daughter, because my dad had just passed away, and I was exploring that relationship as part of my grieving process. And, the story that I had told myself about how my dad actually felt about me is completely different than how I feel now about through that exploration and through this personal development work. So that was the first story, and that was pretty impactful for me. And it was the first time that I really on any stage talked about how I felt with my dad. And it was scary. It was so scary and vulnerable because my dad is very well loved in his community. So it was like, I'm talking crap about my dad, but I really wasn't. I was explaining like, this is how I felt, and I made myself feel this way. These are stories that I was telling myself. So that was book one.
And I'll tell you from my personal experience, if you have children and they're old enough so that you can talk to them about things, that is really very important to me to hear their side of things, because it gives me a different appreciation of our relationship also. So coming forward with your story helps, I think, uncover that as well. That not only did it change you and your perspective towards your dad, but probably also the other way around, to a degree, I would guess.
Yeah. And he passed away, Marcus. I don't know if you remember this story. When I was first talking to Alicia, when I first met her, literally on Zoom with the first book, Fourfold Formula, her dad had passed away that day. Right. And it was like, I just remember thinking, just how ironic it was. I want to ask you though, real quickly, were you already planning on writing something about that? You weren't, because we were just initially talking about you being published, and then that evolved. Okay. Yeah.
I don't even know if I was just like, I want to be in the book. And it was like, I could have written about, me being a mom, and I have like all the mom stories because that's what I do. And that's, part of who I am. And but it was like, this story needed to come out. And so that's what
what you did too, that's really, when I talk about weaving it together, is that you were talking about how your perception of your dad and your relationship with your dad, but your son Xander, that really, I saw that flow through with Marcus. Do you remember the part of the story where she got angry about the coffee with Xander, and she was just like, it spilled, and he's like, why are you mad? And she was like, why am I mad? And then she thought about like, well, my dad used to be mad when this happened. So, I mean, it does weave forward with all the work you do with moms, and what a great mom you are with your son, really.
And thank you. And which is a segue into the second book, because I think what my story was like, I'm a bad mom, isn't that what it's called?
It is. It is.
I'll tell you, when I wrote that, like, I was in such a good place as a as a mom. Like, I was feeling really good about, like, I'm doing really well, like we have a really great relationship. I've changed a lot of my bad habits. And so, but I was like, okay, where was I? And I started writing it, and I was like, I kept writing over and over again, I am a bad mom, I am a bad mom, I'm a bad mom. And I wrote myself into a pit, and I was like, how do I get out of here now?
But it was a great breakup of this. So that was when the wellness war, that story. And it was just really good to watch, even the way we break the story up, the text separators, where it was like, I'm a bad mom, and you watched yourself evolve by the end of the story, where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, like I'm pretty badass. I'm a good mom. I'm a good mom.
Mhm.
So talk to us
Mhm.
about your story for this book. And by the way, anybody listening, we have about 10 spots left. If you want to contribute your true and personal story, about 2,000 words. They don't have to be about anything in particular. Heart, spirit, mind, body, divorce, children, dogs, doesn't matter. Our mission in this is to create a platform to really get stories out there and people connected. So share some of our prize. You have submitted your story. It's been edited. It's thrown in the manuscript. And so namaste. Now we're ready to hear a teaser.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to read it word for word because I pretty much remember this part of the story. Do you want me to read it word for word?
I actually would, because reason why is that sometimes it detours off how impactful just the flow of the word. If you feel comfortable with that, tell us the title of it and just spew at us. We're going to sit back and have a little
What
story.
was the title? I'm a spider.
No.
No? Am I
I
not a spider?
will cut it right into this script when I cut and paste. I know.
Mhm.
What the hell was the name of it? We'll figure that out.
No, it is. It's I'm a spider. Well, I don't know unless you change the name. It's I'm a spider.
No, I didn't change it. What a brilliant title,
You did?
everybody.
Yeah.
You didn't change
So,
it.
earlier this year, I went through a program that I found on Mind Valley called Unlimited Abundance by Christy Marie Sheldon. As the name implies, it focuses on creating financial abundance in our life. Shortly after completing the program, I was taking a shower on a seemingly normal day, and I saw a spider out of the corner of my eye. Not just a typical daddy long leg spider. It was about the size of a quarter, legs and all. So I looked at the spider for a few moments, and I could tell that the water was hitting it because you could see one of its legs dancing every time the drop hit it. As I watched the spider, I wondered, why isn't it falling down the drain? How much water could it take before it would fall? So I took the nozzle of the shower head and I pointed it right at the spider, and I watched all the spider's legs pull up into its body. And after approximately 30 seconds, the spider rolled down the drain. And after I finished showering, I stood up in the bathroom, and suddenly it dawned on me. That's not how I normally react to a spider in the shower. I ran upstairs to my fiance and I proclaimed, honey, I just washed the spider down the drain while I was in the shower. Based on the look on his face, I don't think he believed me. You see, in the past, if there had been a spider anywhere near me, I'd scream and he'd have to come kill it. A week later, I told the story again when my family came over for dinner, and my mom said, I wouldn't believe it either if I hadn't just seen her be so calm in the presence of a spider earlier today. I shared this experience with my friend too. I share my stories with a lot of people when I'm excited about something. Can you relate? But at the end of the story, I said, I'm really not sure how this benefits me in my life. It's not like being afraid of spiders really inhibited my day-to-day all that much. I can usually just, and somebody will come get it.
Right.
My dear friend Angela replied without missing a beat. It was to prove to you that you can overcome any fear. When I heard those words, my mind exploded. And also that I can act in spite of fear.
Yeah. Most people have to write metaphorically using a spider to get us to this big motivational, inspirational end of a story. But this really happened to you, and the evolution of your story. And it's, I can relate, because my guy is so afraid of spiders like yours that he actually wears a headlamp at night when he watches TV, because he has smacked the granite coffee top so much, sure that it was something. So he is that. There's actually a disorder, and there's actually a disease on being I can't even think, what is it? That
Arachnophobia?
is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Marcus,
a movie too.
There you go. Haven't seen that.
With John Goodman.
Oh boy.
But Marcus, what is your thought? You've watched Alicia over the last, couple years now, and what's some stuff that you'd like to share with her? And you guys, we're going to want you to read this story in full. Next summer, the book is going to come out. Wellness G.P.S. will launch in summer of 2024 with all these amazing stories. Yours too. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's quite interesting to see, because the topic of the first one is the father, the second one, the son, and the third one is the spiritual aspects of your being. So from that perspective, I think, yeah, it kind of like hit me in the face, sort
You
of
have
thing,
been saved.
holy cannoli, okay. And, I know the story in full, obviously, and so I know how it ends. And I mean, that is really a tremendous evolution, I would say, really. Really
That's
tremendous evolution.
goosebump stuff, Mark.
That was like 100% unplanned, but I'm laughing so hard because my dad is a pastor. And so it's like
There you go.
ingrained in
My
me.
job is done.
I do not believe that was, your reason to do that, really looking into your reaction. But I mean, it would probably be interesting to see what he thinks about that, in terms of all of that.
Well,
know.
she'd have to, maybe he'll come
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and speak to you about that.
Well,
But
yeah, that's the second time that you mentioned that. And that's basically the reason why I'm saying what we're exploring here is that communication beyond. And I think from my perspective, so even saying earlier, that there might be a improvement on his part, I do believe in that. I do believe that if we pray for souls, that the souls will have an easier time, that you can get out of, if you got yourself into purgatory, you can get out of it with the help of everybody around you. But that's my personal opinion, and that's way beyond what we were talking
Pastor
about.
Vetstein,
Well, yeah. So,
before we know it, you'll be doing weddings.
I've gotten several messages, from beyond, and it usually comes in the form of like a Fleetwood Mac song, because that was his favorite band.
There you go.
And so there will be a song, and then a Fleetwood Mac song, and then another song I like, and then another Fleetwood Mac song. Like, that's the pattern. And then I'm like, oh, he's like, there's a message.
There you go.
And the last time this happened, I was driving past Lyons Avenue on the 5, which my last name is Lyons. So it was like Fleetwood Mac and then Lyons Avenue. And I was like, oh, Dad has a message for me. What? And I was like, I wonder what it is. And as clear as day, it was like, I'm proud of you. And I was like, oh, tears.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of you too.
That's the stuff that keeps us going, though. I think that's really those little pushes get us to say, oh, yes, it is true. It is working. It is there.
Awesome.
And that's fantastic. So I'm having a little tear.
My eyes look like they're black, but I have a tear too. Alicia, I'd like you to, you've had many collaborations, as I have said in the beginning of this, but I'd like you to give you a minute here to just give a shout out to yourself, where people can find you, what you have going on right now, and then we are going to tie it up. So go ahead.
So I still have my own website, alicialyons.com, and I am a co-director of Raising Enlightened Children, which is at raisingenlightenedchildren.com. I just released my mom guilt book, Ditch Mom Guilt and Find Your Happy. It's actually called Good Mom Rules, Ditch Mom Guilt and Find Your Happy. And, we're creating parenting programs to help raise enlightened children and to be transformative parents. So,
and you guys, Alicia has been the surrogate for many children and blessed many families. So you are just an overall beacon on, seriously, you're shining even tonight. Thank you for coming and sharing and teasing. If you
Creating Little Miracles will be the next book, Creating Little Miracles. So
Yeah.
Nice. There you go.
Macro
Yeah.
miracles. That's right. If you guys would like to participate in this story, go on to allthingswellness.com/author, and you're going to see Wellness GPS and many other projects in there. So reach out or get in touch with me at Peggy@allthingswellness.com, and we will find you the answers. I'll send all of those emails to Marcus.
Oh, gee. Thank you.
Alicia, thank you for joining us. And Marcus, your haircut tomorrow, I'm sure you're going to look just great.
Yeah, right.
know. Okay. Happy Friday night, you guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.